Welcome to I read the Business Central license guide, so you don't have to. Hey, I'm Eric, and for some reason there's always a lot of license questions that end up on my desk, so I have found myself in the weird situation of being that guy who actually read the license guide. And just to piggyback on a popular internet meme, I thought, why not share some of that information? So, disclaimer: I'm not a lawyer, so there may be stuff that I'm missing, there may be stuff that I'm wrong, but that's what we have the comments for, right? So judge me publicly in the comments if you think I get some of this wrong. I would love to know. So anyway, I have done the unusual thing for my channel that I have prepared a PowerPoint, but it's a really bad PowerPoint, so it's my channel anyway. So we might as well get started. And the first thing, and this is the easy one. Everybody should get this one right. That there are two main license types to a Business Central installation. So if you, and disclaimer, I am only talking about Business Central in the cloud. So whatever old on-prem license, I don't care. Cloud. There are two main license types: Essential and Premium. And if you need to be a valid licensed Business Central tenant, you need to have at least one of either. You can have all Essential, you can have all Premium, you can actually have a mix, but we'll get back to that in a second. And I think the first thing that we need to talk about is, and what is the difference between Essential and Premium? Premium is service order management and manufacturing. Everything else is covered by Essential. So unless you need service orders or needs manufacturing, meaning production orders and machine centers and all that good stuff, you are good with Essential. If you just need assembly orders, you are good with Essential. So only Premium if you need those two things. Everything else is covered by Essential. Because we're also talking development, in a cloud license, you have access to use all objects between 50,000 and 99,999 for custom development. Those objects are available without any other license fees. For those who are new, say, why do we even mention that? We mention that because that's not how it used to be on-prem. So objects available. If a user do not have a dedicated Business Central license assigned, but they still have a Microsoft 365 Business, Enterprise, or select other plans, as they say, then you can access Business Central through Teams. It's a complete read-only access to everything. This is different from a team member license, which has nothing to do with Teams. We will get to team members in a team member in a second also. Then there's something called the External Accountant's Access, and you can configure up to 3 users with a external accountant license that you don't pay for. So these are basically a full user minus access to certain admin tasks, like you cannot work in the admin center or mess with users and so on. But these works for external. I think external accountants. So the use case is defined in the name, but other external parties could also use this license type to gain access to Business Central. So that works. Then, can you mix Essential with Premium? Yes, you can. In case where you have multiple multiple environments within the same tenant. You can have a set of users who are premium, who use one environment with premium, and then you can have another set of users who have essential and use environment with essential. As they say here, however, licensed user can only access the environment for which they are entitled. So it's not really clear if you have users who are supposed to access both. I have not tried this, so if you have tried this, comments below on this one. Then we have another license called a team member. Team member is not the same as the nav Lite user. The nav Lite users had a slightly different set of rules about that one. So don't think that you can just upgrade Lite users to team members and they can do the same thing, because that's not the case. A team member has full read access, and right now we're not talking about permissions here. We're talking about licensing. Microsoft used the word entitlement, that what are you entitled to with the license you get, and then on top of that, that gives you access to something, and then you can take access away with permissions from that, but you can never give a user more than they get with entitlement. And a team member has read access to everything, has update access to like example here, customers, vendors, items, stuff like that. You can approve and reject workflows. You can create sales quotes, purchase quotes, and you can edit your own information in the employee module, and you can do timesheets in the jobs module. And then there's the really weird one here, the last one, and I probably need to move my head a bit. So let's do that. There I go. So use the Dynamics 365 Power Apps / Power Automate use right provided with. Oh, sorry, that's not the one. I'll say, well, yeah, you get right to use Power Apps and Power Automate. And there's another slide on that one for a second. It's the very last one. Business Central Team Members application module may be customized with a maximum of 15 additional tables, custom tables or standard Dataverse tables, available to the Business Central Team Member license. So this is what, and when I've asked Microsoft what this means, this is kind of what I got back, that the team member is designed to do specific operations. So if you have a big customization, a team member is not supposed to access that big customization, because that's above the 15 additional tables. But it's really unclear, and I don't think there's actually a technical limitation on how they do this, and with apps and so on, this rule is very weird. But I think the intent from Microsoft is that the team member should mimic the way a team member works on CRM, where there's a list in the license guide for CRM. There's a list of specific things a team member can do, and a team member cannot do anything outside that list. But if you know better, that's a comment below kind of thing. Let me move myself back in the corner where I belong, and let's go to the next one. We also have a license type called a device license, and a device license is intended for cases where you have multiple users that are using the same terminal. The typical examples always mentioned is where you got a cash register in a point of sale situation. You have a shop floor, warehouse, where there's machine in the middle, and then multiple users log into that one and uses the app. This is not like a shared user. Everybody is still a user, but they use the same machine, so they can never work simultaneously, which is the purpose of this one. That you buy one concurrent user to compare with your thing, and then you have 10, 15, 20, 40 people who might be part of the pool that can access that one concurrent user. There's a couple of limitations. The most important one is that you cannot, a device user cannot use the job queue. And this is the thing where Microsoft is somehow worried that a job can be owned by somebody who's no longer there, and I'm not quite sure. We can ensure that the involved user is present in the system when a task is executed, which is required. But in that case, don't execute the task. But that's a different discussion. And the last thing is that you cannot, again, going back to the very first slide, that each tenant needs at least one valid, essential, or premium user. So you cannot have only device users, so they cannot be the first user to sign in. And this is actually not strictly licensed, but you have to create a group in Microsoft 365 Admin Center that's called Dynamics space 365 space business space central space device space users, and all capital starting letters, and users need to be assigned to this group that is named a specific name in order for them to work as to consume device licenses. Okay, so then we are traveling outside the world of Business Central and talking about external users, and this is typically where some of the question comes. So external users may require a license and may not require a license. So if you are a customer, so if you have a web shop and you have 10,000 customers, those 10,000 customers do not need a license. If you have a contractor working for you externally, so it's not an employee, but it's someone who is doing work on behalf of your business, then they do require a license. So it's really whether you are you the product or are you the business that will determine if you require a license. And this thing gets even more complicated when we start talking about multiplexing. So multiplexing is that's typically what's done when you connect a web shop, right? You have your Business Central, then you have your web shop, and that web shop has a connection into Business Central. And that's typically just logging in as one thing. If whomever is using now I said web shop, maybe I should say portal. If you are on the outside as a user on this portal and you're consuming Business Central data, you need a valid license. Any user or device that accesses the service, aka Business Central, files, data, or content provided by the service that is made available through an automated process requires a Dynamics 365 license. The number of tiers of hardware and software between Business Central and the ultimate user or devices does not affect the number of licenses required. So no matter, so the interesting thing here is that, like, Microsoft right now is showing, love to show off a demo with AI where they create through Power virtual Power agents, AI demo that can create an order. Well, if you can create a sales order, then you need an essential or premium license. So some of these things, depending on what you are exposing, it doesn't really matter that you're not physically consuming users and licenses, because whomever at the end of the thing is consuming Business Central, instead of going into Business Central and doing the same thing, that would require a license according to the license guide. Then mentioned here, and this is another one where I might need help. So you get 1,800 seconds, 30 minutes per tenant access to Azure AI. So some of the services that are in Business Central, predictive, whatever. And I don't really know how they measure seconds here, but there's a amount allotted for you, and if you exceed that amount, you need to have your own Azure account connected to consume it. If you got details in this one, I would love that too. I have never seen anybody actually getting hit by this, but let's continue. We're almost there, I promise. When you get, and this one is actually missing. It should say essential here and premium here. So when you get an environment, you start out by having 80 gigabytes of database space available, and the database space is all the data, all the capacity consumed by all your environments. So you get one production environment and 3 sandboxes. So let's say you have 10 premium users, then you get 3 gigabytes per user. So you get 30 gigabyte plus the 80. So you'll start out with a license for 110 gigabytes. And then you can buy more. Let's actually go that. And if you have a device user, you get 1 gigabyte per device user. You can add more environments. So you get the 1 plus 3 to begin with. There is a license, a flat license fee per month. In the US, I think it's $500, and that will give you 1 more production environment and 3 more sandboxes, and graciously 4 gigabytes of extra capacity. You can buy extra database capacity in either 1 gigabyte or 100 gigabytes increments if you need it. Don't put documents and stuff like that into your database. There are better solutions for that. I can mention my SharePoint connector. Anyway, all this, I said, is for the cloud. But in reality, you get what is known as dual use right. So when you have a valid cloud license, you can, through your partner, get a license file that will allow you to install Business Central on-prem, and will give you access to Business Central and downgrade rights for at least 2 versions. I know some customers are using this to run local copies for development and testing and those sort of things. You can. With Business Central, you also get a limited use right to the PowerPlatform. So we can see here that with a Business Central license, doesn't matter if this is Essential or Premium, you get access to Power Apps, Power Automate, or Power Pages. Team members will only give you access to Power Automate. And this is still limited somehow. So additional licensing will probably be required depending on what you do. Then another thing is, so since every license is linked to a user, what about reassigning them? And the general rule is that reassigning a license is not allowed. But it is allowed. And there's like very specific say that if somebody gets sick, is on sick leave, and somebody else come in, and then you can remove the license to them, and then you need to spend 90 days or stuff like that. Otherwise, you shouldn't. And what they're trying to prevent is saying that, okay, we are 30 people in the company, there's only 10 people at the office today, so we'll assign the 10 license we purchased to those 10 people, and then tomorrow we'll reassign them to somebody else. That is not allowed. And I think that makes a lot of sense. But reassigning, that's a typical questions coming up on this. And now we are at the last slide. So add-on licenses or attach licenses is a thing where within the family, Business Central. So if you have a Business Central Premium, you can buy an attach license for Dynamics 365 Sales Pro, Sales Enterprise, for a reduced price. Significantly reduced. So the principle, there's a big matrix, and I just took off the 2 lines for Business Central, but the general idea is that if you start by buying the most expensive license, then you can attach other license at a discounted rate, but you cannot attach something that is by list price more expensive. So you cannot take a essential and then attach sales enterprise, because that costs more than essential. So you'd have to do the other way around and take a sales enterprise and then attach a Business Central. And there's lots of rules about that, and they all handle in the CSP program. 22 minutes. I thought this would be a 10-minute video. There's lots of information in this. Anyway, I think that covers most of the stuff that I know about BC licensing, and stuff that comes across my desk typically. I know there's lots of stuff that I haven't covered here, but it goes into all the upgrading from bridge to cloud 1, 2, and whatever number they're at, and all that stuff. But I thought it would be nice to cover the essential of what you get with what are the rules for the Business Central license by itself. Anyway, if you're eager to get back to some AL hacking, this is where you can find it. So check that out, and I'll see you there. Take care. Bye.